it was an easy decision because it still allowed me to be connected to the entertainment and music industry while still having the creativity and the freedom to live and be able to pursue my passion.
Welcome to another episode of the Seven Figure Journey podcast, where we explore the ins and outs of the seven-figure journey. Today, we get to have Drew and Casey with us. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Why don't the two of you tell us just a little bit about your business? Oh, I didn't even say your business name. So tell us your business name. Tell us what you're doing, what your focus is, who you really serve. And then I want to pick your brains about stuff.
You got it. Well, David, pleasure to meet you here, and thanks for having us. As David said, my name is Drew, and our company is Harbor. We are an experience agency and dedicated to producing events, exhibits, and brand activations nationally and internationally. Our work is we cover many bases in both the corporate space as well as the entertainment space. And our specialty is really propelling clients forward and telling their brand story. So we do that through custom fabrication, client events, corporate meetings, all of the above.
So if you want something like, and I'm sure you do a tamer version too, but if you want like big brand, lights going, stuff flying through the air, all that, that's your thing.
That is us.
That's awesome.
And yes,
you guys know how to throw a party and really kind of bring that brand to life for people. So that's fun.
It is. It's a lot of fun. It's always changing, and the challenges are never ending, but they're I think what helps us grow and also pushes our boundaries to then push our clients' boundaries.
Very nice. And how did you get into this?
The Cliff Notes version is I'm a drummer, and I was looking for pyrotechnics for a band that I was in the early 2000s, and I thought I should buy pyrotechnics out of the trunk of a guy's car so I could do something really cool at a show. And through the course of it, I met a corporate event producer who I wound up asking for an internship for college, and he opened my eyes to this whole world of corporate theater. He always told me it was like a corporate rock concert. Instead of a band on stage, it's a talking head and a podium. And he became a mentor to me and helped me start what is now Harbor Experience Agency. And it was an incredible journey. I started by myself in my living room back in 2006, doing mostly like freelance work, production management, technical direction, PA work, pretty much anything. I was a freelancer for events, and was doing that, moved here to Nashville to get out on the road, touring with bands, and playing drums was my goal. And then the events kept paying my bills. Yeah. Music wasn't, so I had to kind of make that call, and it was an easy decision because it still allowed me to be connected to the entertainment and music industry while still having the creativity and the freedom to live and be able to pursue my passions in that. And over the years, it grew from myself to then needing somebody. And that's where one of my good friends and now wife came into the picture. She was technically my first employee. She was freelancing for me, doing drawing and design because I can't draw my way out of a paper bag. So I hired Casey to help me do drawings, and we had landed an event, and she's like, "You can't do this event by yourself, so you're going to hire me." And I did. It was a pretty easy decision. And then I think it was about a year and a half later, we kind of started dating, and then that led to another thing where we're now married. But really and truly, bringing her in and having her as my other half on the team really started to push us in a big direction. And we, really have been off to the races ever since.
Well, I mean, I've heard from every single entrepreneur I've ever worked with, which is in the thousands now, that that right key team member or two or three makes all the difference. And I've heard several of them say, my team's like my family. But Casey, you took this to a new level.
Yeah, I really committed.
Yeah, you didn't just commit; you did a hostile takeover. I think you took over half his business and all of his heart, which is really impressive.
Yeah,
that's an incredible employee. Now a straight up partner.
It's 100% or nothing.
I love that. Well, that's fantastic. What a great story. Well, you guys have been growing this. You've been adding other team members. You've been expanding instead of just, Drew trying to make sure he could still play his drums whenever he wants to. This became a real thing. What are some of the lessons? And if you're okay with me going just a little more in depth because of what you guys have, what are some of the lessons you have learned that have helped you as a couple to build a business together in this $1 million plus place now? As you pass $1 million, like the couple dynamic is different. And I'd love to hear some of your insights. Many of our listeners have business with family and spouses. So if you have some insights, please share.
Sure. Well, we really don't prescribe to the rules of family and business, as you can tell. We've broken all of them. My father-in-law actually has an office in our office where he does his consulting work and also does consulting work for us. So I think one of the things that has really helped is our communication. There's no limit to the communication between the two of us as to making sure that we are clearly keeping each other up to date. But outside of that, really like communicating our goals to each other, our comfort levels of where we know we need to push. And I feel free to say this, I'm the one that will take the risks. And Casey is more of the one that keeps it grounded. So she
helps the drummer that moves to Nashville hoping he'd chase his music dreams is a risk taker?
It is. Yeah. It's weird how that happens.
Okay.
But it's a good balance.
I think it's that balance though that really helps because, she'll bring me back to earth if I'm pushing it too far. But at the same time, there's a little bit of blind faith. And I think that has really worked well for both of us.
Nice. And you have more. So you have a father. So Casey, your father is a consultant or coach for you. What does he consult in for you?
So he is kind of our in between the design and the shop. So his official title is design engineer. So he does a lot of the how are we going to make that cool thing conversations. And I mean, I've always worked on projects with my family. We redid houses when we were little. And like my dad's he works on cars. Like I've always worked with him on stuff. So it felt natural to have him there. And I think, like Drew said, the communication is just the crucial part. And we're all, we can have arguments with each other about whatever it is or the project or whatever. And it's always knowing that it's the same team. We're always on the same team, but also not being afraid to say the hard thing or, get annoyed with someone or whatever it is. Like it's having that communication be open all the time. Definitely, I think is the key.
So you first have a foundation you built with your teams and in your family especially, but you built within your team hey, look, you belong.
Yeah.
Now say what you need to say. We need to hear from you.
Yeah. And that's always how we are. It's like, if you need to say it, you need to say it, whatever it is, let's do it now, not let something fester.
And, we get busy with work. We're just running. Sometimes the things you need to talk about start to stack up. Do you guys build anything in like a process, time, a space that, you know, we're going to talk about these things at this time. If we can't meet in between, we're going to catch up here. Do you have anything like that to facilitate talking, or is it just we're always together, so we're always talking?
I think we could be better about building that in.
I think that's a great point.
Yeah, I think we know when it needs to happen, and it'll eventually. You end up making space for it, whether you want to or not. Because
that's right. Yeah, everything will shut down if we're not connected on the same page.
And you're going to be like, well, I'm either like not going to sleep tonight, and I'm going to have to just brain dump all of this into a Word doc, or I can have the conversation. You know, so you just kind of have to make that call.
Yeah, I love that. My wife and I, one of my businesses, we're co-owners on it. She's the majority owner, and but then in family life, you know, we're equal partners. Though I would say that she's the CEO and I take out the trash. But the work, no, we do share ideas, but we find that we get so busy. We sometimes time, if we haven't talked, it starts to feel like we're more separate, and it's like more work. And so we actually just set aside, it's 5:00 every day. It's not really the end of the workday. It's just the start of our connection time. So from 5 to, depending how much we need to talk about, we're going to be talking, and dinner won't happen until we're done talking, right? The kids are finishing up making dinner, and that's our time.
I can definitely say that for us, that's usually how it will happen, because we will stay here or hang. We try to keep it here at the office.
I will say we keep a pretty solid space barrier, which
nice.
helps us. So, you know, if we're talking about work, we try and talk about it at the office, or if we're talking about it at home, it's always like if we start talking about it at home, either of us has veto power to be like, I'm not at work right now, not doing it, you know?
Yeah. Good. I love that. Those are really healthy. Sorry. I wanted to bring some of that up because rarely are some of these things talked about in small business growth. And yet it's so common and we need it. So thank you. Let's shift to other business kinds of things you may be dealing with that the two of you have figured out. What's helped you to grow past that million to now, 3, 4, 5x from there? What's helped you do that?
Processes and people. We've expanded our team. That has been a big one. We've expanded our team in multiple departments, from the design department to the shop, and then having managers that are accountable. And encouraging leadership is I think the area that we're always working on, because in order for us to grow and for it to become something even more than it is now, it has to be, it can't be dependent just on Casey and Drew, and ownership through those employees and clients being comfortable working with others, knowing we're in the fold, but having that connection. And then the process piece, I wish I could take a lot of credit for, but it's really been a team effort. And another area of Casey's strength is outlining our processes. And we have a great business admin. She's our only remote employee, but she helps keep that organized and has helped us build like an employee website on the back end. So we have resources for each employee, and they know where to find the documents and or the process reports to follow for projects. And that has been a big game changer.
I'll say shout out to Google Business, honestly, because we were in between some softwares and things, and we kind of made the big commitment to just Google Business everything. And this industry is super fast paced, like especially with the event side, like it could change drastically throughout the course of the entire project every single day. So having everything in a live document all the time that is accessible to anybody who needs to see it has been a game changer. because it's not a constant like, well, wait, do you have that? Do you have that? Who has that? Does the client have that?
Yeah.
So getting the processes into Google Business and then across the team has been, I mean, I think it's been huge, as we've added people, because it just gets them into the fold that much quicker when somebody comes on new.
Oh, I love that. And let's get specific. Let's dive it down in on one. So,
Okay.
Because I've seen the same thing. Everybody, after they pass that $1 million mark, you just can't keep it all in your head. It can't be you. And it is the people and the processes. And as soon as they master those, they can triple plus in size, right? Then they hit a new plateau, a new thing to challenge. But those people and processes. So can you give an example of one process where like, here's how we did it. This process was slowing us down. We did this, and boy, did that help.
For me, it's our shop task list and having a process for how items get added to the task list. We tried a couple different iterations where there were a handful of people, managers, leaders that would put items in the list. And then over the course of really this last year, 6 months, our production manager, who was coming up on his year anniversary, we were able to see that it wasn't working. The communication wasn't there by multiples being added, and it needed to have a center point that only that one person took the leadership role of adding the task to the list and then doing the follow through. And we've seen a big shift for me personally, because that's more the area. I'm more logistics and production, whereas Casey is design. I've seen the follow through, the follow up happening more through that process. And it also took me out of the fold, to your point on where you...
which was the goal.
Which was the goal, yes. But it took me out of the fold where you said, there's only so much you can keep in your head. That was a hard lesson for me to learn.
Drew is very good at keeping things in his head, like to a disgusting point. And it's something that I have to remind him that normal humans cannot retain. Like I can't do it because I'm visual. Like if it doesn't exist on a page somewhere, then it doesn't exist. But like he's got it masterminded in there all the time.
And that's great for imagining things up and putting all these pieces together and managing all of you. But it's also great for creating a line of employees who constantly need input from you because you're the only one with the master plan.
And that has been,
been working.
That's been a big struggle. Like that was, to not like go back in time, but, as going into COVID, like in 2019, we were at the top of our game. We had only been in our new building for a year and a half. And we were already looking to change building sizes, add team members, everything.
We were at an inflection point and it was going to go in the positive until
all events got shut down for a little while.
Till all events got shut down. And I'll be honest with you, it's not an area that I really love to dwell on and talk about because we're on the other side of it. And everybody learned a lot of things during that time. And I know there's millions of ways you can skin that cat, but we'll leaving that portion alone. Coming out of it, all of a sudden the floodgates opened in our industry and it was playing the game of catch up. And that is when we were quickly approaching where we were going into that, which was this huge inflection point again. And it was like, we teetered on the moment of safety for a little while because that was a scary time to be a business owner. But that was when I really started realizing, and Casey kept reminding me, you have to communicate these things and get it out of your head and either onto a sheet of paper or onto a process for others. And that's been a really big challenge for me as a leader because, I think I have it, but if I'm not telling others and helping others grow with that, then I'm going to hit a plateau, and that is not what I'm here to do. because we've enjoyed our growth and we love the challenges that come with it. So
yeah, and I mean, let's be honest, and we have to let go of something, and that's what we're talking about. You're choosing to turn down the volume on one of your key strengths.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're like, but wait, this is what I do.
Yeah.
This is my thing. And she's like, I know.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you got to do it anyway.
But I can't do bigger projects without people.
That's right. Really challenging. So, I mean, you came from this. Other business owners, it's like they were the salesperson. They were so good at it. They loved it. And they had to let it go. Those relationships, everything, to hand that off and feel like, so what do I do now? Yep. What's my contribution? And how do I've got this new brain capacity, doesn't even know where to go. And I've got to use it somewhere. And you can now use it to grow your business once you learn what the next step looks like.
Absolutely.
So, that was just what a value add there. And to all the business owners listening, that's one of those suspect ones to look at. If you're thinking of processes to really build, think, what is it that I just do so naturally inside that's actually getting in the way of everyone else soaring and doing really well, right?
Big time.
Really good insight. Thank you so much. Any other last nugget, or do you want to switch gears and say, hey, we have succeeded as a couple, as business owners. We now have our new challenge. Let's play with that.
Well, I think we have succeeded in multiple fronts. There's still challenges in front of us, continuing to build our team. I think there's always something I've realized is I think there's always an opening for a possible new team member, especially, as those come and go. But I think that's one of the things that we're, working on now as a next step with some more growth with people. But yeah, I think outside of that, I'm really grateful and I feel very blessed for what we've been able to accomplish and do and what we continue to do. And I get to do it with my best friend. So that makes it that much better.
Yeah, that's neat. Well, let's play with this next little piece then, which is, your next stage of growth. And we talked a little bit before the call. Next stage of growth is this. I've got to figure out how to grow the team, and not just more team members, but more people who can really lead in the way that we would like to see leadership happen. Not just ones that look like they can lead on paper. But,
exactly.
Right. When we describe the stages of growth, so there's some predictable ones. There's a solopreneur, then you kind of grow up and you get up to this page. You're like, wow, now I'm doing maybe 300,000-400,000 in work. And then you triple in size again and you have a new stage and you're like, now I'm doing about 1 million in work. And the main hurdle at the million you talked about, people and process all day, over and over, right? And you triple plus in size, and your next one is often a leadership and culture. If your marketing's solid already, and if you've got your finances going well. If you haven't done those, you've got to fix that. But let's say you've got that done. And you're like, I've got to expand. I need more team, more people, more work to handle all the demand that's out there. And it can be really tempting to pull in a hot shot from outside that says they know what they're doing and really mess up a lot of great things you have going on inside the business.
Yeah.
We might or might not have had that happen once.
We all have.
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about.
It was a quick journey.
Quick lesson learned, right? Move on. So let's talk about what does it take to build our people, to constantly be able to hire. So I want to take your processes. You've been building the muscle for it, right? It's there. Casey has it naturally in her. Drew has now learned to do the let go process and trust, which is both of those are essential. Let's talk about the process to bring on the right talent, the kind of talent that can grow into leadership. And let's talk about processes to lead and to build leaders on the daily. We could talk, well, time-wise, we may have to choose one. If you had to pick one to go with first, what would matter most to you?
Yeah, I would say building the leadership, because I think that's
Okay,
where we are. Like we have a couple of really good people that have been and are essentially in a leadership position and will continue to grow that position as more people trickle in from the bottom.
great. Let's play with that,
Mhm.
knowing that you need a process to regularly bring in the right people who match your vision, your purpose, your values, your mission, that they're in line there. So let's pretend we've got this going. Now we're playing with this leadership side. Um, one of the things on leaders is they have to be 100% aligned with your vision. So do you have a clear vision? Like if you were to say, here's our purpose beyond profits, we like to make this impact. This is the stuff, we have endless energy to go do this. We act this way even when we're not at work. Like this is the kind of thing we want to serve. Do you have something like that?
Yeah, so we made, as part of our rebrand, we made a, what do we call it, employee handbook with the values in it.
Yes.
That essentially has a value system outlined, especially because we are, at the end of the day, we're really a service business. Like, yes, we do all this great design and we do build things, but like at the end of the day, that's what is going to win us the second job is our attitude on site. And our attitude with the client. And so a lot of it outlines that. And that attitude really trickles into the everyday work as well, because it's a fast-paced industry. It can be a really stressful industry, but it's also super fun. So we try and focus on that aspect, that we really are doing something interesting and not everyone's day to day.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of neat.
So that's kind of outlined in our employee handbook as far as like values and core things like that.
Great. I'm going to call those for now your customer value proposition. That these are the ways we act and behave to deliver a certain value that your customers expect and need. And we need to be able to do that predictably. That's our true brand, right? We put out a certain image and face out here, but it's what promise we've kept over and over again that the market recognizes. That's fantastic. I want to step a little higher than that for your leadership development for a second. And so, and the reason is if you had someone who could deliver to the customers really great, and that all seemed to be wonderful, but treated your team in a way that left you feeling kind of sick inside, it wouldn't work, right?
No.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so that there's another element to this leadership piece. And I would say to every team member, but this other element, I want to take you above the work you do. And we're going to do it with a quick practice, a little 5 why step. And before we get there, the value of fixing this problem is your next 3x. So for you guys, the value of this is $10 to $15 million in revenue and that kind of impact, right? So the value of mastering this is that, because then you have that many more who can lead and grow teams and manage, where right now you're the ones that are leading and growing those teams, right? So that's where that value is. It does a 3x plus step up. So that's why it matters to do it. The leadership needs to be aligned with some things that are core to who you are that don't have to do with the business, but we may be able to pick at them a little bit from the business. So you guys like to create big events that do really cool things, right? For everybody. Why? Why do you like to do that?
Ooh. For me, it's the challenge and the ability to do something that's never been done before.
Okay. That's like really big. Okay. What about you, Casey?
I would say it's probably coming from like a performance background and a love of art and anything weird. Like, I just truly am always on a hunt for something I haven't seen. Like,
all right. So there's this challenge and novelty that are up in here. Let's say as you kind of come up here in the top, there's this like create something no one's ever experienced before, but leaves them in awe. And maybe it's awe. We love to create awe. You know, I don't know, but let's pretend for right now. Let's just pretend that you love to create this awe. It's something like, whoa, never seen it before. A challenge no one ever has done. We brought them together and it's like, yeah, we love to do that in our personal life too. We love to do it in the community. Like, we love those, boom, mind-blowing awe experiences no one else has done. I'm not saying that's your thing. It might take more to get to it. But if that's that, let's say our purpose is something like that. My purpose is to create these mind-blowing, awe-inspiring moments in ways no one else has figured out how to do. We're going to go do it. We love to do that. And regardless of pay, of what's coming, but we love to do this. And I don't know if you have children or anything like that. Maybe that's an experience for children. Or if you have nieces and nephews or family, that you want each person to experience the wonder, the awe, right? Like, I'm going to shake them out of where they were today with something that's just like, whoa, I never even thought of that. Yeah. And you feel so good. That could be a driver for you. We want that to be part of who leads in this business. They actually need to desire that too. Okay. So we're going to put it out there as a magnet. We're going to tell everyone, if you're looking for a great job that just pays you well, go somewhere else. If you're looking to create some experiences that are mind-blowing, that shake up the way people think and have them reimagine the world, this might be the place for you. And by the way, it's a great job and it pays well. And by the way, but it's this, right? The next piece. So this is a why. I need to find meaning in work. If we're going to build leaders, not managers, you can build managers other ways. Okay. So you can build managers who will hold people accountable for certain things. Great. If you want to build leaders who both can manage things, but inspire people to be better, to want to give, to want to sacrifice, to want to grow a business with you, this requires stretching beyond the paycheck. So that's why we're talking about this why. The next thing is belonging. Leaders help people feel like, oh, I belong there and I want to be a part of it. The belonging comes from a core set of values. Some of those are going to show up in your customer value proposition things, like they just are. It's the way they treat people, right? Some of those may be the way they make decisions. They may be the way that they tackle challenges and obstacles. It may be the way that they empathize. I don't know. But there are certain core values that when Drew was so fortunate to make his first hire, most do not make their first hire and find a good values match. Someone who gets me. Very different than me in skill sets in many areas, but there's some core shared values. And that's why we know we can say the hard things. We get each other. We know we belong. Let's delineate those, what those are. For instance, for my team, here's mine. We genuinely care. We face challenges with optimism. We own it. We check our egos at the door. We do the right thing. We build trust, and we believe in people and their dreams. Those are my values. Okay. So I've got those 7 of them. And I probably wouldn't suggest more than that. We're probably pushing the envelope, on what people could actually remember and act on. But those are our values. And then they have their definitions that are, they may seem a little different than some people would look at them, right? Like we build trust. Trust is built through open, authentic communication. I'm like, yeah, well, that makes sense. It's like, but we assume positive intent, and we're the first to extend trust in a relationship. That's different, right? In fact, that's not the American way. And that's okay. That's okay. But that's the elite way. That's the way we do things. And anyone who acted differently, it would feel off. It just wouldn't be right. I would rather be accused of being a little gullible than not trusting. Okay. I would rather trust first. That matters in my team. In your team, that one may not matter. You have other values. But to pick those out and get really clear about them, now we're saying to everyone, to the leaders especially, if you're going to lead here, in fact, if you're ever going to be hired here, you have to love this purpose. And you have to embody and live these values. You need to show me that you're excited by them. You're like, wow, it's like I found my second family. This is so cool. Or in your case, my first family, right? So this is so cool. And they need to have that, because the way they'll lead every day is by saying, okay, we're here to create awe-inspiring moments today. How are we going to do it in this project? And your team's like, oh yeah, that's what we're about. It's not just about getting this project out the door. We're creating awe-inspiring moments. Your leader needs to be able to lead out with it. And when they're coaching someone, they need to be able to say, that didn't go over so well. Let's talk a little bit. I mean, how did you build trust in that relationship? And how might you do that differently? You seem to be rather suspect of their motives. Can you tell me why?
Yeah.
How could we open this up again? And they're like, oh yeah, that's how I should have dealt with that customer better or vendor better. Right. And it's not my way. It's not Casey's way. It's not Drew's way. It's our vision. It's our values. They're higher than any of us. A leader can point to things that are beyond them and say, come with me. But they can't say, do it my way. That doesn't actually work very long. Okay. So think through that. When we get some of those things in place, along with a mission, which is like something meaningful, how many awe-inspiring moments are we going to build by 2027? We're going to measure that and do these cool things. When we have that vision clear, now your leaders, you could start to build them, but they need that platform. Okay. They need something to pull from, and that will align them to Casey and Drew. And that's important. Otherwise, it's like pulling in that hotshot expert from the outside that does it their way and everything falls apart.
Yeah.
Because it's actually, you guys are leading with purpose and values, maybe not as explicitly, but that's who you are. That's who they're following. So let's make it explicit so your other leaders can do the same. They need the process for how to consistently lead. And this is the building blocks of the process. The next piece, you've got some cool challenges. Let's say there's more processes to build, because there always are. You're always changing, you're always growing, right? Or maybe this, how we hire our team members. We have to build a whole new way to do that. Instead of you two figuring it out, what if once a quarter we take the big issues and we help our team, these future leaders, envision what's it look like? Hey, we're at X amount of revenue today, or X amount of impact, so many awe-inspiring moments we're creating. We're going to try to do 5X in the next 3 years. This is going to be a little bit of work for us in a service business. That's a lot of stretch. To get from here to there, what's missing? What strengths do we have to build? New capabilities. What strengths do we have today that we need to leverage better and get a lot more out of than we have in the past? Let's think strategically together. So you bring in these key people, in fact, as many people as you can at different times into these conversations. So they're beginning to think about and consider the kinds of questions you think about and consider as business owners. Mm-hmm. They're not just helping you solve a problem. You're building them into leaders. Yeah. You're seeing their reasoning. You're helping to inform. You're leading them with questions instead of answers through some of the process. You let them own a piece of it. This quarter, we have to make this progress on it. Who wants to own it? I'll take that. Oh, you're stepping up. That's acting like a leader. Let's build a team around you. Not as full-time. You don't even need a new position. This is extra credit. You're getting to work on the cool stuff, right? And so we use a quarterly rhythm to plug people in to do the work you were going to do anyway. Now you're doing it alongside them, or they're leading it. They're either on your team or you're on their team, and you're working through the things and you're helping them to think about, and then they're winning at the end of a quarter and they get to celebrate it with you, right? And they got that exposure and you built that trust, and they were helping to lead other team members that didn't report to them before, but now they did for a while, right? They're practicing all those things. They're running short little meetings of progress as they're project managing things you have to do in your business, not just things you do for your customers, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what a leader does every day? They serve the vision, what we're really about. They organize a team around what needs to be done, and they learn to execute against that. And that's what you do daily in the work you're doing now. You do not have to send them away to a big leadership thing. You don't have to pay for all this stuff. Just get them in the work. You could do like if I was to say ideal leadership development, I'd put like 10% of my effort into outside learning and 90% of my effort into inside doing with us. And so those are some keys to building leaders. And I know we're past our time. I hope that was enough to get you started to say, what what critical tasks or what important work outside of their day job that I do today could I engage them in with me to fix and solve it? And how do I help them use other people, build a team, ad hoc as it is, to get that work done and go and succeed? And you'll be building leaders as you go.
That's awesome. Thank you.
That's great.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm delighted we could have you on. You guys are fantastic. And it would be fun to talk more and hear other great stories like of what you've learned and you've done.
Yeah.
You let me
know.
Know.
I love it. I love it.
All sorts of wildness.
Yeah. Well, that ends this episode of the 7-Figure Journey podcast. But Drew and Casey, how would people get in touch with you if they wanted to have a rock star level experience around their brand or be engaged?
Well, they can reach out via email, drew@teamharbor.com. Go visit our website, teamharbor.com, and check us out on the socials as well. We're on Instagram, Facebook, all of those, which is also @teamharbor. So, but yes, we'd love to hear from you, and we're here to help and make it great. So thank you.
Thank you. For those who are listening in, other 7-figure business owners, if you liked what you heard today, please share it with other 7-figure business owners so they too can improve in their businesses and perhaps in their marriages, as we've learned also today. So thank you. And until next time, keep striving, learning, growing, and caring.